Good morning, boys and girls. I'm sorry I'm not able to see you at school, but I'm glad I still get to share videos of stories with you. In kindergarten last week, and if you're in first grade, we did this last year, we did the story of Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. Muncha, Muncha, Muncha is a favorite of mine. It's about a man who wants to start a garden for the first time. We talked about signs of spring, and we are seeing many signs of spring outside, so it's a great time of year for that. But poor Mr. McGreeley, his garden doesn't go very well, if you remember, because he has to put up so many fences. Well, there's a follow-up to Muncha, 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 and that one is Tippy, Tippy, Tippy Hide, and it's by Candace Fleming, illustrated by Brian Karras, and those naughty bunnies are back again. As I read this story, think in your head, think about who are the characters in the story. Remember, characters can be people, but they can be animals too. The setting of the story, where does it take place? And think about what you can infer from the pictures, okay, and predict what might happen in the story. Do that in your head as I'm reading. So this is Tippy, 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 Hide. And when I read it, I always think, and I think as I read it near St. Patrick's Day, that Mr. McGreeley has an Irish accent, so my Irish accent is coming back. This is Tippy, Tippy, Tippy Hide by Candace Fleming and Brian Karras. Winter was coming, and Mr. McGreeley was getting ready. Down went his hammock, up went his storm windows, out went his snow shovel, in went his garden hose. Then Mr. McGreeley flopped into his easy chair, flipped up his footrest, and opened his book. "Ah," he sighed, "time to snuggle in for the winter, but—" Tippy, 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 pat, knocka, knocka, knocka. "Oh, no," said Mr. McGreeley when he saw those three little bunnies begging on his doorstep. "I shared my carrots with you, but I'm not sharing my house. Now hop off, scram, shoo." Bam, he slammed the door. That night, a chill wind blew, then Tippy, Tippy, Tippy wiggle. Through the mail slot, Tippy jiggle. Three little bunnies cozy inside now. Tippy, Tippy, Tippy hide. The next morning, Mr. McGreeley reached for his banana, but all he found was tail fluff. "Some bunny's been in my fruit," he cried. So he searched high and low, but the bunnies were nowhere to be found. "Those pesky pufftails," fumed Mr. McGreeley. "They got in one time, but they won't get in twice." And tap, tap, he nailed the mail slot shut. I think a lot of us are used to having our mailboxes at the street, but it used to be more common for people to have a mail slot in their front door for the mail to come through. That night, an icy rain prickled down, then Tippy, 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 jump! Down the chimney, Tippy bump. Three little bunnies cozy inside now. Tippy, 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 hide. The next morning, Mr. McGreeley flopped into his easy chair, but instead of a fluffy pillow, all he found was a sooty paw print. "Some bunny's been in my chair," he hollered. So he searched high and low, here and there, but all the bunnies were nowhere to be found. "Those naughty wiggle noses!" screeched Mr. McGreeley. "They got in 2 times, but they won't get in 3. And shove, stuff, huff, he plugged the chimney up. So he's closed his mailbox. He's closed his chimney. That night a thick snow fell. Then Tippy, Tippy, Tippy dangle. Through the window, Tippy tangle. Three little bunnies cozy inside now. Tippy, Tippy, Tippy hide. The next morning, Mr. McGreeley pulled back the shower curtain, but instead of shampoo and a loofah, he found nose smudges. "Some bunnies been in my tub," he bellowed. So he searched above and below, here and there, high and low, but the bunnies were nowhere to be found. "Those infuriating flop ears!" flared Mr. McGreely. "They got in 3 times, but they won't get in 4. And hammer bam, smack slam, he boarded up all the windows. That night the wind howled and the temperature dropped down, down, down. Then, tippy, 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 heap. Turn the doorknob, Tippy creep. 3 little bunnies cozy inside now. Tippy, 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 hide. Every time I read this, I wonder why he didn't lock the door. The next morning, Mr. McGreely opened his eyes, but instead of his teddy bear next to him, all he found was bunny drops. Anybody know what bunny drops are? Charlie, what are bunny drops? What are bunny drops? Bunny poop. "Somebody's been in my bed," he yelled. So he searched over and under, above and below, here and there, high and low, but the bunnies were nowhere to be found. "Blast those wily twitch whiskers," raged Mr. McGreely. "I'll show them. They got in 4 times, but they absolutely, positively won't get in 5. And mix, slap, smear, stack, he bricked in both his doors. "Only Super Bunny could get through that," declared Mr. McGreely. Then, tired but triumphant, he flopped into his easy chair, flipped up his footrest, and opened his book. He sighed, "No more bunnies!" And he snuggled in to wait winter out. At last, one morning, Mr. McGreely sniffed the air and declared, "Spring has sprung." So he closed his book, climbed out of his easy chair, and peeked between the cracks of his boarded-up windows. He saw tiny new leaves, tender young shoots, fresh green sprouts, all that just like we're seeing outside, and bunnies! Mr. McGreely pushed and rammed, pounded and bammed, pulled and kicked and shook and slammed, but he couldn't get out of his house. He can't get out of his house because he locked himself in, and there are the bunnies. They're already getting the flowers. Tippy, 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 smash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. And that's the end. Poor Mr. McGreely. He just doesn't have the best luck, does he? So you, like I said, you can think to yourself, try and answer all those questions. Think to yourself, what can we learn from this story? What can we learn from Mr. McGreely? Who are our characters? What is our setting? And if you remember Muncha, 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 you can think to yourself, how are these stories the same and how are they different? Boys and girls, make sure you're doing lots of reading every day at home. I can't wait to hear all the different things you're reading. Have a great day.